What's up, people? Happy Thanksgiving on the early side. Ben Heisler with the rest of the BetSided crew. Ian McMillan, Donovan Smoot, Peter Dewey, and Reed Wallach. The gang is all here with a special bonus play for our Thanksgiving best bets, along with our favorites for Week 12 in the NFL and Week 13 in college football. Coming off of last week, Week 12 in the NFL. Unfortunately, it was our worst week here over at BetSided, 1-4 in our early leans against the spread. That now puts us at 29-24 ATS. On the college football side, 2-3 in Week 12, still above 500 at 30-29-1. But let's kick things off with our favorite Thanksgiving plays. Ian, once again, I will start with you. You're looking at what some people would consider to be the appetizer of Thanksgiving, but frankly, if this was served to me on a dish between the Chicago Bears and Detroit Lions, I would probably throw it out. Needless to say, there are some opportunities to bet, though.
Yeah, it's truly an ugly game. I think we got to stop allowing the Lions to play on every single Thanksgiving Day slate here. But yeah, I'm looking at the total. I'm going over 41.5. Listen, with a total this low, obviously we know both offenses are bad, but if the total's at 41.5, then both defenses better be good, and that's not what the case in this game. Lions have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, 29th in opponent yards per play, and the Bears defense everyone assumes is among the best in the league, but they're only 14th in opponent yards per play, so they're average at best. So one bad defense, one average defense. I think 41.5 is too low of the total. I'm going to go over in the first game on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, nothing like very few points between two terrible teams to start things off on Thanksgiving. Donovan, I'll go to you. You got the Raiders and the Cowboys. Cowboys right now are 8-point favorites at home. That line has since moved from 7 with a total of 50.5.
Yeah, one of my favorite Thanksgiving traditions is rooting against the Cowboys, and so I'm doing that this year. The Cowboys are 2-4 in the last 6 Thanksgiving Day games, and the only 2 wins have been against Washington, but against every other team they're 0-4. We saw what Dallas was last week against Kansas City with Amari out. CeeDee Lamb may be out this week, and so I think that this is a really good chance for the Raiders to get back. I know they got blown out by the Bengals, but that game was closer than what the final score says, even though there was like 32-13. The Raiders still have a really good offense, and I'm just waiting on the week that offense, comes into play and that offense gets them the win. I think that this is going to be the week. This is the biggest underdog that the Raiders have been all year. The other two were +5 and +5.5. They covered both of those times, and I think that they do it this week against Dallas.
Yeah, certainly we're starting to see the total drop a little bit in this game, but I think you're going to see that number continue to climb for the Raiders moving on up as Dallas continues to be a very public home favorite. Peter, what about you? You got the night game in mind. Bills right now -4.5 against the New Orleans Saints on the road. Total in that game at 45.5.
Yeah, Ben, I'm taking the Bills -4.5. This one, the line has since moved to 5.5. I really like Buffalo in the spot this year. After a loss, the Bills are 2-0-1 against the spread. They've won those games covered by a margin of 26 points. So they found a way to bounce back. They haven't been great this season, obviously 6-4, but they've been able to bounce back. And they're facing a Saints team that I just have no faith in right now, especially if Alvin Kamara isn't able to go. It's going to be tough on a short week. He wasn't able to play this past week. I don't know if they want to rush him back on Thursday to play in this game. And Trevor Siemian just simply isn't an NFL quarterback. He's a backup at best, and they've looked really, really bad in terms of turnovers the past couple games. And you look at this game, like, I don't think Buffalo comes out and takes this one easy. They're now behind in the AFC East to the New England Patriots. They need this game. I like them at -4.5. I'd even play them at -5.5. I think this could be a blowout.
Yeah, some desperation needed for Buffalo and a good opportunity for Josh Allen to try and put himself back in the MVP conversation in a prime time game on Thanksgiving. So that's plays from all 3 games. So let's head back to you, Reed. You're looking at the Bears and the Lions. So we go back to the early matinee game. What's the side that you like here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're going to be watching it, we might as well bet it, right? I'm betting the Lions +3.5. If we're looking at these two teams, all the motivation is going to be on Detroit's side. There's already reports that Matt Nagy is going to be fired after this game. Andy Dalton starting. Is Chicago going to show up for this game? Are they really going to care? And we know Detroit, especially if Jared Goff's back, they're just going to run the ball. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to take the ball out of Jared Goff's hands so he can't turn it over. And the Bears' rush defense, 5th worst in EPA per play. So I think there's an opportunity for the Lions to maybe get some points on the board, maybe win this game outright and get some win on the year. So I'll take the hook. Let's go. Let's get gross.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm also on the Lions at +3.5. And this is from the perspective of a Bears fan when you think things can't get worse, they somehow do. There were multiple reports, as you mentioned, Reed, coming out this week about Matt Nagy coaching his last game against the Lions on Thanksgiving. This play actually opened up at 3, moved to 4 once the positive news on Justin Fields came out. And then with the news that Andy Dalton likely giving it a go and this Bears news, Vegas has dropped it back down to 3.5. Bears have dropped 5 games in a row. They really haven't been competitive for much of them. That loss to the backup quarterback in the Ravens at home on Sunday was probably the nail in the coffin for Matt Nagy. I would not trust this Bears team right now. And actually, if you go over to fansided.com/betsided, there's a whole article up regarding the current state of the Chicago Bears and how this might be the week, considering the Lions schedule, that they might get their first and only win of the 2021 season. Let's move on to our best bets and our early leans for week 12 in the NFL and also week 13 in college football. So Ian, I will start things off with you once again. You're looking at a prime afternoon matchup between the Rams heading to Lambeau Field at Green Bay. And you're also taking a look at the game between Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah, so I'll start with the NFL here. I love the Rams +1 against the Packers here. It's my favorite NFL bet of the week for sure. I mean, I don't think we should let recency bias take over here. I know the Rams are coming off 2 ugly losses here, but they're still second in the NFL in net yards per play. The Packers in comparison are 8th. And a key thing that you have to keep in mind about this game, Rams are coming off a bye week. Packers haven't had their bye yet. Even Aaron Rodgers said in his press conference after this past game against the Vikings, he said that they just need to survive to their bye week. They're banged up, they're hurt, they're tired, and now they have to face a very fresh, a very motivated Los Angeles Rams team. So I like the Rams +1 in the NFL. Then looking at college football, last week on the show, I said I was buying in on Ohio State. I took them to cover against Michigan State. I bet on them last week to win the national championship at +500, and they looked fantastic. They blew the Spartans out of the water, so I'm going to go ahead and back them again this week against Michigan at -8. I mean, look at their offense. First in the country in yards per play, averaging 7.9. That's a full yard more per play than the #1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. I think they're going to have a lot of success moving the ball against this Michigan team, and they're going to have a lot of success stopping the Michigan offense because they're 11th in opponent yards per carry, and we know that the Wolverines love to run the football. So Rams +1 in the NFL, Ohio State -8 in college football. Those are my best bets so far.
I like the call, Ian. I like it a lot on Ohio State because people continue to bet on Michigan and Jim Harbaugh in this matchup. It has not gone well for them, regardless of who he's coaching against on the other side. I certainly think Ryan Day will continue the process of owning Harbaugh and Michigan, even on the road. Donovan, what about for you? You got the Texans right in your backyard. They are -2.5. Texans favorites for the first time all season. It took all the way to week 12 to finally get there. 2.5 against the Jets, and also got a Pac-12 battle between Cal and UCLA with the Bruins as 7-point favorites.
Yeah, and I'll do what Ian did. I'll start in the NFL. If the Lions Bears game isn't the ugliest game, I think the Texans Jets also has a stake in that. But I think last week what we saw with the Texans was very, very impressive. I have to take it with a grain of salt because both Ian and I have both said that the Titans are frauds, but it's a very, very big thing for the Texans to go on the road and get a win. And I think in a game like this, the numbers aren't going to show what Tyrod Taylor brings to Houston, in terms of like season-long averages, but in terms of an eye test, and that's what this game is for me. Tyrod Taylor does something to this Texans team, and he makes them a lot more competent than what they are. I think if the Jets go in again and they start Joe Flacco, I think -2.5 is very, very generous, or +2.5 is very generous for the Jets. And so I really like Houston in this spot to get a field goal. That's really, really good. So I trust Tyrod. If we go to college football and UCLA, they're very simple. When they win, they cover. When they don't win, they don't cover. I think that this game is really going to come down to the run game, right? They are very efficient in the run game. They average 5.1 yards per carry. Cal allows 3.9 yards per carry. Whoever wins that battle is going to win this game, and UCLA has proved that they can do it on a myriad of teams across the country. So I'm going to go with the Bruins.
Peter, I head to you next. A team that you had talked about on the latest episode of Bet and Breakfast, our BetSided podcast. Carolina Panthers, they opened up at +1 in their matchup on the road against Miami. That line has since moved to Panthers -1.5. So we're talking about a 2-point move in this game. You're also looking at Boise State and San Diego State with the total in that matchup. And correct me if I'm wrong, I know that Donovan really likes the Texans this week. You're taking the Texans as your survivor pick this week?
Yeah, I am taking the Texans as my survivor pick this week. I think they beat the Jets. I don't believe in the Jets. I honestly don't even care who plays quarterback for them. They're just not very good. I'll take Tyrod Taylor over any quarterback on the Jets roster right now. But I'll start with my NFL pick. Been all over the Panthers, as you said, Ben, since they were +1. I love them all the way up to -2.5, probably anything less than a field goal. Like, the Dolphins are not a good football team. I know they've won 3 games in a row, but they won them against the Texans, the Jets, and the Ravens. Those 3 teams are all in the top 6 for most yards per play allowed defensively this season. Miami's offense has been inept all year. They're still second worst in the NFL in yards per play. I think the Panthers defense, which is second best in the NFL in terms of yards per play, is going to be able to slow them down in this game. And if you look at the Carolina offense last week, I know they lost, but Cam Newton has really sparked a complete change on this team. And Christian McCaffrey being back has been super important too. So I love the Panthers in this spot. Like I said, I like them at +1. I will play them all the way up to -2.5. I think they're going to win this game pretty easily. And then going to college football. This one's a simple one for me. Boise State, 12th best scoring defense in the nation. San Diego State, 9th best scoring defense in the nation. Neither team allows more than 20 points per game. I think we're going to get a slug it out type of matchup here. Totals at 44. I like the under in this one. I think whoever wins this game is going to be lucky if they get to 20 points. So give me the under all day.
All right, Reed, I head to you next. A battle between the Vikings. They got a big win last week against the Green Bay Packers at home. They now travel to San Francisco, Santa Clara to be specific, as 3-point dogs against the 49ers. Meanwhile, you're looking at a total in that Memphis-Tulane game as well.
Yeah, the Vikings, I think they're a little underrated. I mean, catching 3 against the Niners, and I said this last week, it didn't work for me, but the Niners are terrible as favorites under Kyle Shanahan, 12-23-1 in this spot since he's taken over as head coach. Meanwhile, Mike Zimmer as an underdog, absolute money, 34-19 against the spread. And every Vikings game seems to go down to the wire. We saw last week against the Packers, that back and forth affair, arguably game of the year. Only one game has gone, the margin of victory has been over a touchdown. So, and the Vikings won that game. So I think the Vikings are live in this game. I think they can win outright and continue on their playoff trajectory. I see it coming down to the end. So give me the Vikings +3. And then random total, I like Memphis, Tulane, both teams inside the top 30 in plays per minute. Memphis needs this win to get bowl eligibility, so I expect them to come out with a ton of motivation. Tulane, meanwhile, they've been able to put up points this year, 3rd in explosive rush rate. And Memphis, a porous defense, they've allowed a ton of points all year long. So I see this game breaking 60. Both teams are going to get there. So those are my 2 plays for this week.
I like the plays as well. For me in the NFL, give me the under in Titans and Patriots. Yes, several members of this team have called the Titans frauds. I think the line, though, is a bit too inflated for the Patriots, despite them winning 5 in a row. Instead, I'd rather focus on the total. Patriots right now, the number one ranked defense in points allowed over the course of this year. They faced a Titans team that couldn't score on the Texans. That's certainly a problem with no Derrick Henry the rest of the way. I think you're looking at maybe like a 19-10 type of matchup, 19-13, somewhere along those lines. You know, it feels like it's an opportunity where the Patriots are going to take A.J. Brown out of this game. That's what they do. They remove your top weapon. And Tennessee has to find some other answer. And it's not going to come from play action because there's no running back that's going to provide any sort of a threat. So low scoring affair between New England and Tennessee. So I'll take the under of 45 in that matchup. Finally, on the college football side, UNC +6 on the road at NC State. I know the Wolfpack have had a really nice season, but I think it's a good opportunity for redemption for Sam Howell, for Mac Brown over the course of this year. And they've also beat up on the Wolfpack the last couple of years, blown them out in back-to-back seasons. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games against the Wolfpack. It just feels like everything's about to line up for the right side finally all season long for North Carolina, considering that things have broken the right way for NC State. I just think having Howell back after missing last week, he should be healthy, should be able to go. And I like the fact that you can get him at 6 on the road on Friday night. There you have it. Those are our early leans for both Thanksgiving as well as NFL and college football for week 12 and week 13. If you guys love these previews, please check out fansided.com/betsided for even more previews, predictions, props, plays, and so much more. Also check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. And if you like these videos, make sure you guys give us a thumbs up and a subscribe as well. For the whole BetSided team, happy Thanksgiving. I'm Ben. We'll talk to you guys soon. Be good.